What's going on, Dolphins fans? It's Connor from the Dolphins Dive, and today we're going to be talking Bradley Chubb. Now, this is episode 3, I believe, of our player review series, and this is going to be the main content produced pre-training camp during this lull between, obviously, minicamp and training camp. There's a lot of down periods. Everyone's going on vacation. So here, I'm going to be filling that with player reviews, and we're talking of the player acquired at the trade deadline, Bradley Chubb. Now, not only is Bradley Chubb a great player, but he's also got a very fun last name.
What do you mean by that?
But like I said, he came over from the trade deadline, high expectations. He was a former first-round pick, drafted high in the first round, I believe, as well. But honestly, I'm not going to lie. When the news came out of the compensation we gave up, I was not necessarily the happiest. Now, granted, it was a late first-round pick, so you'd rather get the proven player than the non-proven player. But I feel like it was still a high amount of capital to give up for a player who was only under contract for the remainder of the season. And then we proceeded to give him a very large contract, which I'm not sure he's going to play up to that contract level. And to be fair, it is hard with some of these players to live up to these massive contracts. There's a few players that live up to huge contracts. If you think of like the top quarterbacks, like Patrick Mahomes, obviously, Aaron Donald's going to live up to his contract. But like for the players that are not bona fide superstars, it's difficult for them to hit that peak of living up to that contract. So I'm not quite sure he's going to be able to live up to it. But without further, like he's still going to be a very good player for us. He's a proven commodity. And his biggest thing is honestly just staying on the field, because when he's healthy, he's proven himself to be a very good player. And not to mention, like, he didn't have the best production with the Dolphins, but he was also came over halfway through the season and had to learn a brand new scheme. But now he can settle in. He's in a scheme he's familiar with, back with Vic Fangio, and he's going to be able to hopefully take off and continue to ascend as a player, because he's still quite young. I believe he's 26 years old, so he's still got a lot of football ahead of him. And he's still got a lot of potential. Obviously, the thing that's allowed him to not hit that ceiling is just the amount of injuries he's compiled. And I'm not necessarily too concerned with the injuries. You get concerned when they're the same injuries over and over again, but he obviously had an ACL tear. But then his injury this past season was a hand injury. So if we start seeing repeats of injuries, that's when you start getting concerned. But I really do think Bradley Chubb paired with Jalen Phillips, being fully healthy going into this offseason, I really do think we're going to see the best version of him, which is going to be great for us, because if you pair a very good Bradley Chubb up with Jalen Phillips, I think it's a lethal edge rushing duo. And I want to put this out there. I genuinely think Jalen Phillips might already be better than Bradley Chubb, so allowing both those guys to continue to grow, progress, and just attack those tackles, I think will truly benefit this scheme. The past season, he had 54 pressures and 8 sacks, despite switching teams halfway through. So that's a pretty good stat line, especially since he dealt with the injury towards the end of the season, as well as the fact that he switched schemes. Like I said, he went from Ejiro Evero's defense, which he's a very good DC, but going from that to Josh Boyer's defense and having to learn that and then come in and then proceeds to get injured with his hand, that's a good stat line of 54 pressures and 8 sacks. Now, like I said, you pair an entire offseason back in the same defense, paired with Jalen Phillips. I really think this pass rushing duo can be very, very good. They just got to stay healthy. You got Christian Wilkins in the middle as well. So what I expect from Bradley Chubb in his role is honestly just to be an every down player. Obviously, there's rotations. I expect him to hit probably 80% of snaps, mainly being a pass rusher and playing against the run, but occasionally dropping into coverage just because that's how these schemes sometimes operate. I'm hoping, like I said, 80% of snaps taken would be ideal. If it's a little lower than that, that's okay. 80% of snaps, and then I'm hoping for around over 10 sacks this season, like 50 plus pressures, 10 plus sacks, and I think you're happy with that production from Bradley Chubb. I think he's one of the better players on this defense. He's just got to stay healthy and prove himself again, because I think he's capable of doing very good things. I think Jalen Phillips has more potential, but the pass rushing duo of both of them, the sky's the limit for them, and I'm excited to see how Bradley Chubb progresses in this second season as a Miami Dolphin. Comment down below. What are your expectations for Bradley Chubb? Do you think he's going to hit around 80% of snaps? Do you think he's going to hit 10-plus sacks? I'm just curious to hear your thoughts. Sound off in the comments down below. Check out the Dolphins Dive for the best Dolphins merch out there. And until next time, I'll catch y'all.